Where are they hiding the 47-year-old trad wives? That's what I want to know. That's what I think about every time I see one of these videos from like a 19 or 20-year-old talking about having no job and no degree and she loves it.
So, where are the 40 something years old trad wives? Where are the 47, 50 years old trad wives? At least, if you want to advertise something, at least you show us people that have been there for years. It's not that you start advertising it to ladies that are in their 18, 19, and you tell them to be trad wives. Where are these ones that have been trad wives all their lives? Where are they? We need them to come and tell us how being a trad wife is all about before you start advising 18 years old teenagers to start getting married and having children and being a trad wife.
Where are they hiding the 47-year-old trad wives? That's what I want to know. That's what I think about every time I see one of these videos from like a 19 or 20-year-old talking about having no job and no degree and she loves it and it's amazing. Where are the trad wives that are my age, that are 47, that are 50? Why are they not out there espousing how amazing this lifestyle is? I think we know. I think other women my age probably know because we have been on this earth long enough to see what happens when you tie yourself for life to an ultra-conservative, ultra-misogynist movement. It does not end well. You end up destitute and divorced because you had no financial security, you had no job history, or you end up with a life that is not particularly appealing to young women on Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest. And I realize that that sounds mean, and maybe it is mean, but I'm just trying to be realistic here. Like, there is a reason that conservatives are asking 19 and 20-year-olds to recruit other young women. They know if they put a video out with like the average middle-aged trad wife and showed what her life looks like day to day, what she gave up her rights for, what she gave up her freedom for, I do not think that most young women in this country would be so eager to sign.
They know that if they show us the 40 something years old trad wives, a lot of people will not be trad wives. A lot of these younger generation coming up and say, I want to be trad wife. I just want to sit down, relax, and be taken care of. I want to get married at the age of 17, 18, 19. I'll have all my children. They will not want to be trad wife if they see the ones that have been there for years. When they see how, when these ones comes out and be truthful about their experience, there's nobody that wants to be trad wife. You don't want to be that trad wife. You don't want to be under a man and let him control your free will. I have some interesting reaction on this video. I'd like to know what you think about this video down in the comment section, and I'll share my thoughts at the end of the video.
Not about every time I see one of.
I'm 45. I just celebrated 26 years of marriage. And since 2020, I've deconstructed everything I thought I knew. Everything I thought I knew. Prior to George Floyd, I thought I was the good guys. And then after George Floyd, I learned about all the systemic problems that led me into the path of being a trad wife as well. Because George Floyd and trad wife go together like peanut butter and jelly. And so we deconstructed a lot of us. A lot of us deconstructed because of George Floyd. I'm not saying all of us, but I know George Floyd was the reason I stopped going to church. My church wasn't protecting the community that was supporting George Floyd. And that really pissed me off. So they don't like to hear from us because a lot of us are deconstructed now. Still married, though.
Where are they hiding the 47-year-old trad wives? That's what I want to know. That's what I think about every time I see one.
She went on to say this is what she thinks about every time she see a 19 or 20-year-old trad wife on social media talking about their lifestyle and they love not working, etc., etc. One of patriarchy's greatest weapon is the removal of the initiation from girlhood to young adulthood to womanhood. They help remove that ritual in order to keep women at a certain minimal level of understanding so that they would have the ability to take advantage of them and manipulate them. Because they know inherently at some point when a woman gets to a certain age, you can't fool her anymore. So they gotta pluck them out of their parents' house in their youth, 14 and 15 and 16 years old, 17 and 18 and 19 years old, because that is clearly a child whose brain is not fully developed. And this plague amongst women where younger women want to listen to other women, where aesthetics take precedent over wisdom, is a disease. A disease that helped blur the lines between girlhood and womanhood, and thus create a competition between women. So it's a lot of this when it should be this. Okay? Now, of course, you don't listen to every woman. But the beautiful thing about initiation, and the reason why it was removed, because it is extremely dire to development, to creating certain cognitive abilities and skills and self-trust in order to go in the world and make conscious, well-informed decisions. So they blur the lines, so that there is no guidance, so that young people are distracted by aesthetics. They're distracted by makeup. They're distracted by lip color. They're distracted by hairstyle. They're distracted by aesthetic backgrounds. And they're not listening to their inner voice and to wisdom. Because there is no amount of wisdom you can hear that will make you make smarter choices and become wise and discerning yourself if you haven't been taught how to trust yourself. I can tell you exactly what the about to happen, exactly what is up the road, and you will not hear it if you don't have the skill set to discern your body sending you messages, your higher self speaking to you, your consciousness speaking to you. If that is misaligned, everything else is. And that is why the initiation process amongst girls and women have been removed. And some of us, like myself, is here to get it back. My name is Danielle, okay? And this platform is called Dark Goddess Academia. Follow my YouTube, and I initiate women back into the sacred shadow feminine, because we have to be extremely aggressive and extremely left, dark leaning. Because patriarchy strives on the right, bright, light, sun leaning in order to create a false light, a false sense of security. The reason why 47-year-old trad wives aren't the face of trad wifery is because most of them are miserable. Most of them are divorced. Most of them have had their energy siphoned from motherhood and wifehood. And they are riddled with egoic guilt and shame. So a lot of them are hiding and masking, but we now know the truth. And thankfully, a lot of them are anyway coming to the forefront of social media and telling what life is really like. Saying how these men left them destitute. There is a reason why patriarchy thrive on the subjugation of children. It need to pluck young girls from their parents' homes from in a state of peak naivete. That creates a adult woman who is ignorant. Because at some point, no matter how young you were plucked, at some point as a woman, you are going to hit that wall. The wall of wisdom, the wall of self, the wall of truth, where you start to see clearly and the lies and the fog start to clear out. And they know that. But by the time you get there, because you spent 15, 20 years derailing your life from popping and not making your own money, it's damn near you have to completely restart your life. Y'all know how many women I talk to in my line of work where their husbands have left them with 2 and 3 and 4 children, destitute and homeless, because he got bored and found the younger model. But you wasn't thinking about that when you were 19 and 20 at what this pedophilic world like to call peak attractiveness. It's peak perverseness. And so younger women would rather listen to other younger women that they feel they can relate to because of this competition. And we can't even blame the younger women because the older women set the precedent for the younger women. Because why are older women, after y'all spent a time raising your daughters, competing with them, after you spent a time disrespecting older women don't have the skills. Don't nobody want to hear from you now. Talk anyway. That's the least you can. But the young people, these teenage girls, these young girls, they don't take the grunt of the responsibility. Older women have to. And so to women like me, I'm 38 years old. I'm not the oldest and I'm not the youngest. I'm middle way. But as someone who has always been tapped into their discernment, I get on here and I teach a certain skill set. I don't tell women what to do. But one thing I do notice is women want to listen to who is most aesthetically pleasing. They want to listen to white women say shit that white women have no track record of being able to prove that they live the kind of lifestyle they talking about. They will look and find for any fucking like this Wizard Liz shit. You are boo-boo the goddamn fool if you are listening to a woman who married somebody after 3 months and had a baby. And y'all are clapping y'all hands because she gave her baby over to the man. I mean, whoop-de fuck you. If y'all are gonna play these games with men, you need to be a star. You need to not really give a fuck about your kids more than you give a fuck about. But even then, I have to be careful what I say because a lot of y'all so know you hear a one part of a thing and you with it. Because proper shadow work needs to be done and it takes a certain level of guidance, not advice, not holding your hand. Nobody can do that through your entire life. But guidance, teaching a skill set so you can apply a certain skill set and develop that skill set even more on your own so you can be safe in the world making choices and decisions. But y'all would rather listen to people who fumble because that's more entertaining. See, me, I've always been in touch. I always made decisions based on my internal dialogue, based on my higher self, regardless of even my own caretakers' indoctrination. That is what a lot of women need. That is what a lot of women don't have because a lot of women are traumatized. You are still and always responsible for what you do not know. And there is a difference between ignorance and naivete. According to universal law, y'all will be far more responsible for y'all's ignorance than previous generations because y'all have access to TikTok and you are more responsible. Your punishment will be far more severe because you have access to the truth and you choose to not listen. And it don't matter how fucking you are.
In the ground, at the bottoms of lakes and rivers and seas, in burnt out houses and cars, in apparent accidents with firearms or machinery or vehicles, domestic disputes and family tragedies. I've seen some speculation on here about what you'd do if you were turned out of the house with no place to live, no income, and a bunch of kids to take care of. That is the happy outcome. If that happens to you, you should celebrate. So this is one of my peeves with all of this masculinity versus femininity, divine masculine versus divine feminine, bioessentialist nonsense. Results in us seeing each other as incomprehensible aliens that we can only kind of figure out through all sorts of sneaky little tests and psychological games. While if we were to understand that we are merely 8 billion flavors of the same species, we may start to understand that if you want a guy to be taller than you so you can look up to him, you're likely going to find a guy who wants you to be shorter so that he can look down on you. If you look for a guy who is a provider because you want him to give stuff to you, you are likely to find a guy who enjoys the fact that you don't have anything and that he can decide whether to give you things or not. If you are purposely looking for a relationship based on a power imbalance and you are willingly entering that relationship as the submissive party, you are going to find lots of guys who love relationships based on a power imbalance and love entering those relationships as the dominant party. And what is the picture that emerges from those characteristics? It's a picture of someone who loves coercive control. Femicide is called the most predictable crime of all because all of those abusive relationships based on coercive control only get worse and they only end one way. Now, we are still in the early stages of taking this seriously and gathering data, but what we do see is that femicide happens in the younger age categories. If you marry at 18, as these tradwife influencers proudly claim, half of your life is already over. But I can change him. No, you can't, because he does not want to. And you purposely selected him to be higher than you, remember? He's not going to be changed by you. In fact, I'll go one step further and say you are changing him, but for the worse. Every time you comply, there is more space for him to become more controlling and coercive. Every time you feel that the relationship is getting better, he feels like he actually can get whatever he wants. Abusive relationships are always escalating. It might be too slow for you to notice, but it is happening. The periods that you consider happier are just there so that you won't leave and they can continue their coercive control. But I can appease him. No, you can't. Because what coercively controlling people want is impossible. They want to always override the other person's free will. Well, if they want that, then why don't they get a mannequin or a doll? Well, they want you to have free will so that they can deny you that free will. They want you to be a person, but they want you to live as if you are not a person. That is never going to happen because that is not possible. So in the end, they will always be disappointed and they will always bury you. And then they start the next cycle with somebody else. Now, there's one more really important point to make here. All of the horrible things that he is going to do to you, he is going to do to your children as well. Those children did not choose to be there, and they can take less damage than you. Anyone trying to convince women to have children with this kind of man is promoting child abuse. There is no such thing as an abusive man being a good father for children. And if you're thinking of all kinds of excuses for him right now, would you be making those same excuses for your best friend's husband? For what he does to her? For what he does to her children? And so the only way out is up. Increase your own agency, secure your own income, and find a partner with whom you can see eye to eye. If you don't want those horrible things to happen to your child, the first thing you need to do is prevent them from happening to you.
There is something called catch them young. This is what they do when they try to advertise this trad wife lifestyle. They always want to tell the teenagers to get married on time, have children. Don't worry, just marry a rich man, even if he's 10 years older than you. He's going to take care of you. Don't need to further your education. Just do it. Because you have to give birth while you're young so that you can enjoy your life later on in the year. So maybe your 30s, your children are going to look like your siblings. These are the way they advertise this child wife thing, and they just tell you that all you need to do is just be at home, sit down, relax, and the man is going to do the work. You bear children, of course, but you might have nannies that will take care of you. They advertise it to younger generation because they know that they will fall for it. No matter what, there's this age you're going to get to that is going to click. And that age is not 18, it's not 19. In fact, I feel like 25, it's clicking. I feel like when you get to your 30s, it clicks. It just clicks. When you get to your 30s, they start calling you an expired product and they start shaming you if you're not with a man at that age. They know that when you get to a certain age, you're going to understand life differently. And when you understand life differently, you see reason why you don't need a man. That is why they want to catch these ladies. They want to catch them young when they are still very naive and they can easily mold them to the kind of woman that they want them to be. They will advertise this marriage thing, this family trad wife especially, and tell you, no, don't work. Don't have to work. Just be submissive. This man is going to take care of you. Even though he's 15 years older than you, he's going to love you and take care of you. All you need to do is just start bearing children. In fact, they're going to show you luxury lifestyle and allow you to be into that kind of of life. So even when you want to leave that relationship, you think about it, that how am I going to be flying private jets when I leave this man? You know, you're not going to leave, even though he's beating, even though abusing, even though you're not happy, you're not going to leave. And they always advertise it to younger girls. They will never go and advertise it to women in their 30s, in their 40s, and tell them, I'll be a trad wife. Be a trad wife and don't work, depend on a man, be submissive, doing all of that. They know that it will get to a stage, it clicks. There's a stage in a woman's life that it clicks, and you know that this life is not this is not how I'm supposed to live my life. Like, there's more to life than submitting to a man. There's more to life than being married or being under the same roof with a man and just be useless and be a baby making machine. There's more to life. There's like, you can find happiness in other things than you doing that. They easily catch the younger girls, and that is why you see ladies are coming out and say, I'm 23 years old, I've had 7 children, I got married at the age of 17, I'm a trad wife. If you see 40 something year old child wife come and tell you about being a child wife, they're advising you not to do that. They are telling you not to go through that journey, because they will tell you that I was a child wife and I regretted it. They will tell you reason why you should not be a child wife. You will hardly see a 40 something year old woman telling you that child wife is the way. Be a child wife. No, they will tell you why you should not be a child wife, how their life got ruined because they became a child wife at a very young age. I feel like we've done like 2 videos last week talking about 18-year-old that became a trad wife and younger generation being a trad wife. Some comments on that video. Some people were like, "There's nothing wrong. 18 years, she can get married. I don't see anything wrong with it. If she want to get married in her 18, let her get married when she's 18." What I have a problem is, nobody says you don't get married young, but get your life figured out, because these ladies are not even, they don't even continue their education. They don't want to work, they don't want to do anything, they just want to stay at home. To me it's risky. To me it's risky putting all your egg in one basket and depending on a man. I feel like the fact that you have to depend on a man to before you can survive is very risky, and that is why I don't really agree with 18, 19-year old deciding to get married and being a trad wife. These women are coming to tell us that they are going to be trad wives. They want to be stay-at-home women. They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. It's risky. You have to have your vex money. You have to have a backup plan, because you cannot fully depend on a man. And I agree with one of the creators that was saying that if after you've seen TikTok videos of women in their 40s, in their 50s, advising you not to be trad wife, and you still end up entering it in your early age, it's on you. Like, it's just so on you, because a lot of women, if you go and do your research, a lot of women that have been child wife are advising don't do it. It is like, don't do it. They are telling us not to do it. And you see younger girls, they are excited because they feel like that is the way they're supposed to live. And as I said earlier, they will only advertise it to the teenagers. They will never come to women in their 30s and be telling us to be trad wives, or women in their 40s that have not gotten married and she's enjoying her life. You're telling her to be a trad wife. They will never come to you and advertise it. They will always advertise it to the younger generation so that they can, fall into it while they are young, before their brain clicks they're already inside, and sometimes it might be too late to go out, because it's not easy to leave a relationship. Even though we always say leave him, leave the man, it is not always easy to leave a marriage. It's not easy. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this video? Let me know your thought about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, Sugar Mary Davidson, thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one, guys.